everyone. This is the first talk in this room, so I'm probably going to repeat something that you heard in other rooms. So welcome. It's the 7th edition of the Data Festival. I'm Nadia, and at the back you have Asha. We're here to help you and guide you. I'm going to ask you, please put your phones in silence for the speaker. If you have glasses and stuff like that, please. There are bins on the back. There is also water of the back. So this event, as you know, is free to attend and is built on a very strong community. And for it to be free, it will be thanks to our generous sponsors. So you have the beautiful list here. But thank you to BSI, Digitas, Data Idol, Compare the Market, Unidays, Time Extender, PwC, King, Cleo, Product Madness, Dumb Hubby, and also CodeNote, who are kindly sharing this venue with us. So this year we're also with UN Women, which is a solidarity movement for gender equality. And we're inviting people around the globe to stand together as equal partners to craft a shared vision and a equal and diverse society. So the He for She campaign is an invitation for everyone, and the men and the people of all gender, to stand in solidarity in women to create bold, visible, and united force for gender equality. So the initiative is one that we are very proud to uphold, and forming a long-lasting relationship with the UN Women. If you feel called to get involved or donate, the information can be found on the back of your booklet. Thank you again for attending May Day, and we hope you're going to have a great time. So our first speaker is Amardeep Sira. So I'm going to give you a small bio, and then hopefully that will coincide with who you are.
I hope so.
I hope so. So you are the co-founder and the head of technology at Amardeep, a leading UK-based technical consultancy. Currently, you are working with the director of data at Compare the Market to determine the technical shortcoming. Amardeep transformed these shortcomings into competitive advantage through targeted technical solution. Now, at the helm of her own company, you thrive to drive positive and conversation change wherever you can plant it. So please give a very warm welcome to Amardeep.
Thank you. And thank you for turning up. I had some pretty good competition at 9:45. I thought there was going to be no one here, so thank you. I'm Amardeep. I am the co-founder of a software engineering consultancy in the UK, which started in the pandemic. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that before I go on to our topic today, but I wanted to start with a little bit more of an audience participation activity, icebreaker, call it what you want. And it's going to be a bit weird, and I feel like you might be a bit uncomfortable, and that's the point. What I would like you to do is just make some judgments about me, whatever you want. So I'll stand here. Thank you. I look fabulous. Sorry? I look creative. Sorry? I'm bold. So I fit the look of a software startup. Nice. Sorry? Oh, I do. Anything else? What kind of music might I listen to? Yeah. Fashionista. Oh. Does anybody want to take a stab at what I listen to on my headphones? Indie rock. What do I like to eat? I like to defy conventions. Oh. My dad would be proud. Anything else? Don't be scared. I'm not easily offended. Do you think I've got... Gives it away. Do you think I've got... Do you think I've got one or several? One. What? I know, it's a real giveaway. What about... Do you think I'm religious? No? Okay. Maybe? Come on, you can do better than this. I'm giving you free rein to, like, say what you want here. Vegan. I believe in love. Oh, yeah, it does mean that. I believe in love. Music, no one's indie rock. Anything else? Okay. Jazz. Do you think I've always worked in tech? Do you think I like kids? Okay, and the point here is for you to collect some data on me. And now let's just try and go through that. I'm going to give you a little bit more information freely about me. I used to be a teacher of economics and business. I absolutely hate Indian rock music. I absolutely love rap music. And if you're mixing a bit of Britney Spears now and then, perfect. It's my perfect playlist. In the mornings when I wake up, I'm currently reading what economic policies are being put in place in Honduras in order to get them back out of the pandemic and what happened to the country during the pandemic. And when I get a bit bored of that or my head gets a little bit frazzled, I read what Kim Kardashian's been up to get some nice breath. I do love her. I do. I can't help it. I absolutely hate fashion. Who said fashion? I absolutely hate fashion. This is probably what I wear every single day with a different shirt. I hate it. Hate makeup. Hate doing my hair. Hate everything. And you probably saw the picture where I had long hair. I actually shaved my head last year for charity, the back end of last year, against all my will in my heart, because I am religious. I'm Sikh to tick a box, but I am Sikh, so I do believe in Sikhism. And so that was really hard to shave my head, and now I have to deal with this. And I don't know how short-haired people do it. Like, I have to put product in every single day. So that's a little bit more information. And what I'm trying to show you is prejudices and biases that happen naturally, and you don't intend to do it, but you think I don't like kids. I don't. You got that one right. Do I want them? Really don't. Might this make me? Probably. So these kind of data biases that we have in us, these judgments, these prejudices that we have in them, they're not always intentional. And so when you start collecting data, if I'd asked you initially when you first walked in, sell me something, you'd probably try and sell me a piece of clothing, which always happens. People try and sell me a piece of clothing. I'm not going to buy it. Sell me a textbook, take my money. Because I love reading, and I love reading textbooks type material, journals and stuff like that. So, and a little bit about me. So yeah, I used to be a teacher. I taught for about 8 years. I didn't get bored of it. I didn't like the industry I was in, so I kind of made a judgment call and thought I'm going to leave. Did everything in like a year off, which was from painting to waitressing to data analyst to whatever anybody would give me, and really did fall into technology about 7 years ago. And when I fell into technology, what I realized is I don't know anything. So let me learn as much as I possibly can learn. So I started to engineer a little bit. I product manager, any role you can think of, I've probably done it in some form. I was even like PMO for a little bit. And then I wanted to get breadth of experience. So I went into a consultancy myself after my first role in Sky. I went into a consultancy after that, and I got a massive breadth of experience, and it really opened my eyes up. And because of my career that I had before, I realized really quickly that actually I've got a lot more skills than what people keep calling me a junior at. There's other skills that I have that I can bring. So I've found myself getting into director positions very easily. Then I got bored again, and I was like, oh, I'm really bored. Salon. It's in and out. I can talk loud enough anyway, as you can see. And just before the pandemic, went to meet a recruitment firm that I knew beforehand and was like, I need a job, give me a job. And they were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, well, I'm not going to give you a director because you're going to turn it down because you can get it now. So what is it that you actually want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, what if you ran it yourself? And I was like, really? And we kind of fell into it. That was like November 2019. Talk to me about 2020, people. Talk to me about 2020. My company started operating on the 1st of April 2020, like true fools. And so for a year, I did nothing. Definitely got a little bit depressed, didn't know what to do, but persevered with my business partners, James and Ben. And it's been thriving ever since then. So that's a little bit about me. We work with lots of different organisations. We're quite firmly in the data space, but we don't turn around interesting things that we want to do. So if somebody wants to, especially the smaller firms, if somebody, a small organisation, we've done something as well, so a small cupcake company needed some help doing their website. We just helped and did that because we do like to do things like that as well, so everything in between. And what I wanted to talk to you today about is what exactly is your machine learning. Now, there's definitely people in the crowd that are more knowledgeable than me, and I'm not claiming to know everything. I'm claiming to know biases in data. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I've got some notes, which I'll keep checking if that's okay. So what is machine learning? I think we all know, but I've got like a nice dummy phrase that I like to use when I talk to people, which is basically it's computer systems that are able to adapt and learn using data and algorithms to imitate the way humans learn. And the point of that, and always the point of that, especially in the country that we're in, especially in the society that we're in, is to ultimately make money. Organisations want your money, they want you to spend money, they want the economy to keep going, all these different things, they want it to keep happening. So what do we need to do? It's not new. If you think back to I'll choose Netflix because I've got Netflix, your Netflix recommendations. How do they know I want to watch Labyrinth again? Yeah, I do love David Bowie, but why do you know all the time that I want to watch it? How do you know similar programs that I want to watch? Algorithms, right? They're collecting the data. More traffic patterns, Google, detecting spam emails, Pinterest, Instagram. I'm not on social media apart from LinkedIn, and I've not been on social media ever. And there's a big reason. I hated what it was doing to young women. Like when it first started, really, Instagram really took off, and I just thought to myself, if I get into the point where I'm looking at something and I'm being surfaced these beautiful, not real women, I'm going to want to be a beautiful, not real woman, and I'll never get there. And if you just think about your feeds that you have, that age-old argument of a couple why is your feed full of half-naked women? Oh, I don't know why they give you that. Yeah, you do, because you look at half-naked women all the time on Instagram, and that's why it's surfacing it to you. It's already there in our day-to-day life, and it's trying to predict what you might like, and the point is, does it work correctly? Because if it did work correctly, there's nothing wrong with machine learning, there's nothing wrong with data, there's nothing wrong with us giving our data to people, as long as it's used correctly. And actually, if it did sell you something, on your machine, a machine learning algorithm in a website that you do use often, surface something that you do want to purchase, really want to purchase, then it works great. And it can be worked for good, because there's a lot of skepticism at the moment as well that it's going to take over. It already has taken over, let's be honest. So it's trying to predict what you like, and that's the point. And it's trying to, another thing that it's doing as well is it's trying to consume, well, it is consuming massive amounts of data that humans can't take in, and in order to achieve efficiencies, that's the whole point, isn't it? Can we consume this massive amount of data and achieve some efficiencies, cost, time, people, unfortunately, in some ways. And a really good example of that is a loan application. So I don't know if anyone in this room remembers the time of going to a bank manager and knowing the bank manager really well to get a mortgage for your house, and it'd be based a little bit on personality as well, and do I trust that you'll be able to pay your mortgage back? God, my dad talks about that all the time, and I do think, bloody hell, Dad, I don't think I've ever met a bank manager in my life. I don't think I ever will. Who is the bank manager? My bot or my Monzo app? Probably. And loan applications, I want you to stick with that example in your head, because it's going to be really important when we start talking about data biases. I'm just going to quickly check the time, sorry, just so I don't go over. So what are data biases? Open floor. To be biased, what does it mean, to be biased? What are you all acting shy for? You're all intelligent people that have taken time out on a Saturday. It's going to be sunny to come to a data science festival. We're all nerds. Own it. What does it? Yes. Favouring. Yeah. Favouring one group over another. Preferring something. Assuming something. Exactly. When I walked in and I said, tell me some judgments, I know you were a bit scared. Some people weren't, but you were a bit scared to say the things that you actually wanted to say. Because inherently, we do make these snap judgments, and so does data, because the algorithms predominantly first written by people. Then it learns, then it learns, then it learns. So underlying prejudices in data, which is then used to create algorithms. So I'm not saying here that we go into the machine saying, oh my God, don't give that woman a loan. Wow, wow, wow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we put in information to get an outcome, and we end up with loads of different biases in the algorithms that we're writing. And there's so many different data biases, categories of data biases, that we could have just done a talk on that, and we could have talked all day about the different types of that, but I can't go into too much detail because I've got 40 minutes. I've already spoken for about 17 of those minutes, and someone's going to put a stop sign up, so I won't go too much into detail of that. And it's not for, data biases are not just in machine learning either. If you think about it now, before, not even before, it even happens now, your spreadsheets of data that your marketing team they just want it because they want to send out a personalised email. They want to say, hi Amardeep, it's the 6th of March, it's your birthday, here's a 10% code, 10% off code. They've been doing it for ages. And we go back to the loan. I want to go back to the loan application just for a minute, because it can draw out unintended prejudices. Because the human race, we are not nice people. Whether we want to believe it or not, whether we're woke or not, it doesn't matter. We're inherently not nice people. And we make snap decisions. And I'll give you an example. If you have got children, or if you can remember back to when you were at primary school, so you're little and you're naive and it doesn't matter about anything. And parents will be like, oh, you're hanging around with her today. It's a child, it's a playground. Why are we saying that? Why are we thinking that? We are a bit prejudiced. So, and this is lots of different things, from your big ones like gender, race, age, but then it also goes down to your social class, how you speak. I get it all the time because I'm from Leeds, and I'm proud to be from Leeds, and I'll always be proud from being from Leeds. And I've lived all over the country. And when I first moved to London, everyone's like, oh, you'll lose that accent. What for? People have met me in a boardroom and they've said, oh, did you go to private school? I'm sorry, what? Like, why does that matter? We're in the meeting together, so prejudices are everywhere. Accent prejudice. So, if you think about the loan application example, you've created a beautiful algorithm. You want to know who is most likely going to be able to pay back the loan over a longer period of time in order to collect more interest. You're the company. I want you to take the loan out. I don't want you to pay off your mortgage in 25 years. I want you to be dying and paying that mortgage off. I want your kids to inherit the debt. Why? Because I'll continue getting money as a bank. I'm just giving you an example. So now I've created a really great algorithm, and that algorithm is going to get loads of applications. I made the applications. The website team have made an absolutely brilliant process. Ping, 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 ping. You've got the information from me in order to apply for a loan. Could someone tell me what could come off the back of those masses of applications? So the outcome for me is I want to know who is able to repay and the longest. Who is eligible, who will pay it off the longest. It's quite an okay outcome. There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. I'm a firm, I want to make money. Come and get some loans off me, pay them off for longer. Talk to me about the biases that could come out of that. Yeah. Okay, good. Did you have your hand up?
The people who have a history of mortgage access, I would say, they would probably be possible. They would extend their
Yep, they extend it. What kind of geographic location might actually miss out?
Are you targeting people in a cohort ability to pay, but not substantial enough amounts so that they can get to the termination point of the mortgage?
Yeah.
So you're going to be looking at places, you might be like, say, unfairly targeting places which have a lower, say, monthly flow.
Yeah.
Because they can't commit as much to the payment of both the interest and the principal.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got a different market in one area than perhaps a big area where
Yeah.
there's more stable loss of money.
Exactly. And so with what I think clean outcome, what I'm actually doing is targeting people that are vulnerable. I don't think any of us wanted to say it, but I think you've hit the nail. Yeah. We're trying to target that people that are vulnerable. We don't realise that because all we're doing is like, oh wow, we found this massive group of people in this part of England that haven't got loans. They will take that first-time loan. Let's drop down the deposit payment if it's like for a mortgage or something. Let's make it more accessible to them. And what we're actually doing is putting people into more debt or targeting vulnerable people. And those vulnerable people will be of a certain make-up person as well. So that might be a particular type of race. That might be it might be women over men or men over women. And what we're doing is and then what happens? Lots of people stop. Let's just go with loans. Won't be able to pay their loan, get into loads of financial debt. The company gets loads of bad PR, etc., etc. And that's just a really small, crappy example. If you think about the bigger examples, like the study that the USA did on healthcare and created algorithms in order to find who is able to pay for healthcare in America. That's what they did a study on that. I think it was MIT. They did a study on that, and what they wanted to do is offer more healthcare. Now, we all know that in America, most of the healthcare is paid for. So people who are able to pay for their healthcare have been paying for their healthcare. Let's sell them more healthcare. So they missed out this massive group of people. It just so happened that group of people were black. They got targeted with no healthcare problems. There was no intention from the organisation to make it racial. It just happened to end up being racial. So what do we need to do about things like that? And what can we do to try and avoid things like that? And it's some of the basics, but then it's also, we're trying to basically change the human race, which is not going to happen right now. And I think it's actually safe to say that and assume that all data is biased. It is biased because we're collecting from a group of people. If humans are involved, and to be honest, even when they're not, the data is going to be biased slightly. So, and the point is not that. The point is, how do we identify that it is and then remove it? How do we remove the biases? And that is a long, drawn-out problem that people need to come together. People like you that work in the data space need to come together and do. And how do we then tackle being able to do that versus I need the solution yesterday. You need to do it on budget. You need to do it on target. Sorry, we need to get rid of 2 data engineers this year because our costs are too high. So it's quite dynamic how you get to that point as well. So before we start thinking about machine learning, are the basics set up around your data? Who works in an organisation where they can happily say that their data is in a really good state? And if you do, give me a job. Does anybody work in like a place, and you don't need to call out where you work, it's irrelevant, but does anybody? And this is the point, right? People, they've got all this data, and it's this race to have the next bloody chatbot, or that no one cares. No one's going to buy your products more because your data is not even in the greatest state. How many times have you been asked to do something in the data engineering space, a solution that touches data eventually, because everything does, and because of the milestones that someone else committed to in the quarterly forum, there's no way you're even going to deliver it because your data's in such a bad state. Also, have you got any data governance? So before we even start thinking about machine learning, what about the shit amount of data we've got now, which is shit as well? Should we fix that first? Should we put some parameters around that to be less biased in order to surface that data in such a way that people want to use it, and it actually works. Imagine if we walked around and then things that were surfaced to us, our Instagram, nice. And I know that sounds a bit airy-fairy, but you can still sell me something and be nice. You don't have to tell me that I have to have an ass that's massive. I'm never going to get there. It's just not going to happen. Young boys and girls and people now are consumed. We're consumed with being a better version of me. What's wrong with the version of you now? It all links back to data. So, are the basics set up around your data, the data governance? Do you have your data in a good state? Also, careful planning. Now, my background in technology was engineer for a bit. Can't lie, pair programming never suited me. I was gassing away while I was doing it, made loads of mistakes. And I moved very quickly into like, you're all gonna like roll your eyes when I say this, but delivery management, oh God, don't hate me. Don't hate me. But with the appreciation of having sat there and understood that you can't fucking estimate that ticket because there's not enough information, the appreciation of that. So it was a lot easier. So when you are planning to do something with data or to use data, don't have a room full of people that are exactly like you. I try so hard to hire people into my organisations that are not like me. I don't want you to come to the same conclusion as me. So if you're now looking at how to structure the data or actually attack, have we got any biases in our data? What could someone assume from what this data is saying? What could they speculate from that? If you've got lots of different people in the room, they'll be able to draw different conclusions, all equally really valuable. Really valuable. I am going through the most horrific process of planning a wedding right now. Horrific. It's awful. It's the worst thing in the world, planning a wedding. It's just awful. And I've got a team of people around me, all showing me the same fucking serviette. I don't like the colour. I don't know what you want me to... I'm not creative. Someone said I was creative. I'm not. I'm the least creative person I know. But they're all giving me the same answer. No one's saying, do you want red? Do you want black? Do you want orange? I'm just getting... What's it called? That old... What you used to paint your walls with? Magnolia. Everything's magnolia. I'm getting the same answer. And so if you get the right people in the room, if you're about to start a data journey and it's something as simple as we want to surface this amount of data or we want to create a chatbot, whatever it is, do some really careful planning. It's really important to do some careful planning. Loads of people are walking out. I think I'm offending people. It's really embarrassing. Really embarrassing. And this next one, which a lot of people find hard to do, which is why I want you to do that activity at the beginning, be honest. Be honest, assume the things from the data. Just do it. Just do it. People assume when I walk into... So I've got two business partners, and they're not here today, shock, called James and Ben. And they are your classic middle-aged white men, and I love them to bits. I really do. But when we walk into the room, they go, oh, nice to meet you, James. And they're like, oh, she's going to be talking. And there's already this honest conversation that gets to happen, which is, we don't know anything about technology. We're going to sit on the side and get her coffee if she needs it, or roll her a cigarette if she needs that. She's going to do all the talking. She's going to whiteboard you a solution, then talk to you about how you can better clean up your data, and then you're going to pay us the money to do it. And it's having those if I was able to have honest conversations with James and Ben at the beginning and say, look, we're going to walk into loads of rooms, they're going to talk to you first. No, they're not. Oh, you're being paranoid. I'm not. It's a fact. What do we do about it to make sure that doesn't happen going forward? You can do that when you're about to start a data program of work. You can sit there and you can say, right, you want to send an email to people on their birthday offering them a 10% discount code, and you want that to learn. You want to learn then if who accept the offer, who then uses the offer, and how much they spend and collect and collect and collect and collect. How can we make sure that when we're doing that, we're targeting the right group of people, and not just you're my customer, so you always buy from me, but also you're also potential customers. So have those honest conversations, definitely. What are the preconceptions of your data and your organisations? It's a really interesting one, this one. But some people will not buy from for their core values, they won't go to certain firms. or organisations. But that is your morals are only tested when they need to be tested. I could be sitting like, oh, I'm such a lovely person, and then as soon as someone's rude to me, I could start calling that person an arsehole. Well, then my morals are not true. Put your hand up if you truly don't go to a firm because something you believe in. Oh, love it. I won't get you to name and shame. I love that, but there's not a lot of people that raise their hands. So, go back to it. What are the preconceptions of your organisation? Own them, address them, change them through data. If all the data I have of a product that I want to sell is for Indian women, bordering 40, then that's all I'm going to sell to. But I just don't want that one person to buy it. I want loads of people to buy it. I want to have diversity in my customers. And also, it is a delicate and fragile conversation to have. Imagine sitting imagine you're a data engineer and you're an associate, you're junior. You love data, you love being in this organisation. They've invited you to kind of like a focus group. And now you're sat with this chief marketing officer. And they're like, I just don't understand. We've been trying to hit this demographic of people for absolutely ages. And it's because everyone thinks your company's a bit sexist, actually. And it is. Are you going to say it? No, but you've got data to back you up. You've got data, and that's why data is so important, because you've got data to back your answers up. I use data like a receipt. You know, when someone says to me, I didn't say that, I find in a WhatsApp information and go, yeah, I did. I did say that, or I didn't say that. Data's everywhere, it can be used for good, and that's how we want to be able to do it. And so also, how might these biases of manifested and cultivated in your organisation? You're constantly being told that we've got so much data, why can't we just use it? And you think, because it's bad, because it's all on one group of people, because we make assumptions on the data, because we're humans, and that's eventually what your machine will learn. It'll learn to make assumptions on bad things and then stick to one. And I always try and bring it back to business and making money. You want to retain your customers and expand your customer base. That's what you would essentially want to do, and you want repeat custom. Well, you're not going to get that if you sell a mattress, because people tend to have their mattresses for a long time. So how do I expand that? How do I go to a market that don't often buy mattresses? I have to almost collect data from somewhere else that has got nothing to do with me to understand their buying and consumer habits, and then target them in the correct way and an affordable way. Sorry, this is just going a bit funny. Once you've found those data, those bits of data that are not useful, and only you know that as data experts, remove it. So many people are getting scared to get rid of their data, and it's because they don't let data engineers do what they do best, which is ultimately understand the data and transform the data into something usable. Remember when we started ripping names and ages from CVs? Does anybody remember that? In the UK at least, there was a time when my CV would just get sent to anywhere. Amardeep, Sira, age, whatever, lives here, and it'd get sent to an organisation, and I would or wouldn't get an interview based on my, hopefully, CV and my professional experience. And then, I think it's law, don't quote me, but now you can't do that. You have to take the name out, you have to take the age out, definitely the age. Why do you think that happened? And I know you know the answer, so be brave and say it. But what kind of biases? Oh, go on, say it. Gender? Sorry? Yes, racial biases. There was racial biases, and I'll give you an absolutely awful example of myself. When I came out of teaching, I was an excellent teacher. I'm just going to throw that out there. I was an excellent teacher. My kids got what they needed, their target grades. They went on to be bright individuals. But when I was a teacher, and I came out of teaching, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I went into recruiting teachers, and a white man said to me, be careful with ethnic sounding names. They won't get the job. I was like, mate, my name's Amardeep. Does that mean if there was an economics job and I applied to your company, I wouldn't get the job? knowing that you're a recruiter and you don't work in my industry. And he was like, I'm not, you're a bit different. And I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't have got, my CV wouldn't have gone anywhere. We stripped data from a CV in order to get more opportunity for certain groups of people, age, race, whatever it is. So just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind of those kind of biases on a piece of paper. They used to like proper tip-X it out or like put black marker over it. That's how they would send CVs off. That's still happening now. It's just happening electronically in our data sets. I'm going to be really quick now. I've got 5 minutes. Also expand your data. So use data that you may not have considered before. Don't just think we sell tissue boxes and all the data that I have is based on a tissue box and that's the data I'm going to use. Expand the data and go outside of the box and see what other data you can collect. What about pocket tissues? Someone might use pocket tissues. What about a handkerchief? People still use handkerchiefs. And also phase your approach to machine learning. There's so much pressure now on data engineers and the data engineering setup and the data enablement, whatever your data part of your company is called. There's so much pressure to just do it, get it out there faster, be quicker, but phase the approach. Go iterative, go agile. If you're doing waterfall, do it in a waterfall, put it in a PID document, whatever it is, but phase it. We're going to do this first and then we're going to test it. We're going to make some assumptions based on data biases, what we think could be data biases. We're going to select a group of data, we're going to select a group of people, we're going to test it, we're going to see if our biases are true or not, and test it and phase it and push that because you're the expert. The people sat in this room, you're the expert, not someone in marketing that's forcing you to send a fucking personalised email. You're the experts. And above all that, remember, we're really privileged to live in a world where we get to see the exciting technology advance and you get to play with it and we get to see what it can do. So be really honest, accept that there are biases in us and in data that we collect, whether you think it looks clean or not. And think about when your machine is learning what you want it to learn, what are some of the offcuts things that it could do? Facial recognition is another one. They had loads and loads of data on facial recognition based on a white man's face makeup, which is why it struggled with females. Don't even talk to me about anyone with a bit of pigment in the skin. It was really hard for them to do that. Oh God, I've got 2 minutes. I've got so much to say. Take time, use controlled data sets, use diverse data sets, and always go step out a little bit on your data sets as well, and use other data. I had a bit more to say, but I guess I won't say it. Fine. Thank you very much. I'm here for questions if anybody's got. I think we've got like a minute for questions. I'm really sorry about that. Thank you. Sorry. A hard question. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Thanks for the presentation. Really appreciate you trying to provide context and insight into giving how to remove biases from data. But how do you counter the narrative or allegations, if you want? People say that you should stop including wokeism into data science because data science is data. Obviously, you have data biases in data, but you should stop taking social science or wokeism or social activism into things that are just science and concrete and technology, which has no links to social justice.
I think that's a bigger and a sadder question because I think the phrase woke, and we're going into a very different, this is my opinion, so just bear that in mind, it's not anyone else's opinion. But woke is a way to describe people that can see injustice and speak up for injustice, and I think the term and the phrase was appropriated by a different set of people and used in a more malicious way. So what I would do in that instance is take away words that have been appropriated in a negative way. Would talk about, go back to the word diversity and diversity of thought and diversity, because data is not just data. Data is whatever you put into it. Machine's going to learn whatever that is. So I'd like to probably know a little bit more about a specific example, what you're saying, but a machine is going to learn whatever we want it to learn, and then it's going to extrapolate that. And if you say, I'm trying to understand how wokeism or anything like that, social constructs have come into it. So have you got a bit?
I'll just say, for example, I'm doing claddings in public housings,
Yeah.
and people just accuse of oh, you're just doing this because of Grenfell, but obviously we don't want another Grenfell to happen. And before Grenfell happened, Lakanal House killed the same, killed people as well.
Yeah.
But people didn't learn from Lakanal, and Grenfell happened.
Yeah.
But when we try to do that, people just saying, "Oh, you're just trying to be malice against like councils and the government."
I would
You
say,
just- so
I would say
yeah.
I'm surfacing biases in data that was probably not used correctly in order to know whether that cladding was there, needed to be there or not. You have to change the way you structure a sentence, and I know it's a little bit manipulative, but it is, because you can talk about anything, you can do it. It's a great study as well. And you could do a comparison of in a more affluent neighbourhood, would that have happened? Would they have had that? Would that have happened? And it's probably not. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, because it's funny because Grenfell was in one of the most expensive places on earth, but.
But what were the
still happened.
residents? What were the people like? The residents that were living in Grenfell?
So when you try to do that, people just you're just trying to skew your study to a certain kind of conclusion you want to reach. So you're trying to
Go back to data. Data is not going to skew anything for you. Data is facts, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, I know we're running on a bit.
Thank you very much.
It's all right. Any other questions? I hope you found it insightful. Feel free to grab me if you want afterwards, and have a really lovely day, everybody. Thank you.